You know, some names just echo through history, and Isadora Duncan is definitely one of them. She was this incredible pioneer, someone who completely blew up the rulebook on modern dance. But for a lot of people, she's remembered for something else entirely, one of the most bizarre and shocking tragedies of the 20th century.
Her life was just packed with drama from start to finish, but it's those final moments that have become legendary. It's a story that centers on something so simple, so elegant, which forces us to ask this wild question: how on earth did a silk scarf become a fatal weapon?
Okay, so picture this. It's September 14th, 1927, in Nice, France. Isadora is getting into a cool new open-air car, and being the absolute showwoman she was, she turns to her friends and proclaims, "Adieu, mes amis, je vais à la gloire." Farewell, my friends, I go to glory.
And then, in a flash, it was over. That long, beautiful, hand-painted silk scarf she was wearing, it trailed over the side of the car, got tangled in the open-spoked wheel, and yanked her out onto the street. Her neck was broken instantly. Just like that. A life that was all about fluid, beautiful movement was stopped tragically and abruptly. But see, to really get the impact of that moment, we have to look past the tragic ending and see the revolutionary life she lived. So who was Isadora Duncan, really? Well, to put it simply, she was a rebel. A total dance rebel. To get what a big deal she was, you have to remember what dance meant back then. It was all traditional ballet, super rigid, restrictive, with corsets and painful pointe shoes. Isadora saw all that and was like, nope, not for me. She created something totally new. Free, natural movement inspired by ancient Greece. She ditched the corsets for these flowing tunics, and, get this, she danced barefoot. That was scandalous. And you can literally see this evolution in her photos. She started out wearing these more conventional, sort of fairy-like costumes. But over time, she stripped all that away, getting down to something much more raw and natural. These flowing fabrics, the freedom in her body. This wasn't just a wardrobe change, it was a mission statement. Yeah, this went way deeper than just the costumes. Isadora had a whole new philosophy. She taught that real movement doesn't come from your feet. It comes from your solar plexus, your core. She wasn't interested in rigid steps. She was inspired by nature, like the movement of the ocean waves. She called it an evolutionary dance, where one move just flows into the next. It was all about connecting your deepest emotions to how your body moves. I mean, that's pretty much the blueprint for modern dance today. But this is where her story gets so complicated. Her life was this constant, dramatic tug-of-war between these incredible, soaring artistic triumphs and the most gut-wrenching personal tragedies you can imagine. And her triumphs were huge. I mean, she was a global superstar, selling out theaters across Europe and America. Famous artists of the day, like the sculptor Rodin, were totally captivated by her. But she wasn't just a performer. She wanted to pass this on, so she started schools for young girls, who her fans affectionately nicknamed the Isadorables. So she was at the absolute peak of her game, an icon, a legend, and a mother to her two children, Deirdre and Patrick. This photo here, it just captures this perfect, fleeting moment of happiness, right before her world shattered. And this is the moment that changed everything. In 1913, in just a horrible freak accident, the car carrying her two kids and their nannies stalled on a hill in Paris and rolled straight into the River Seine. Both of her children drowned. It's an unimaginable loss, one that would haunt her for the rest of her life. And the heartbreak just kept coming. It was relentless. Just a year later, she had a third child, a son, who died just moments after he was born. Then, a decade later, her husband, the famous poet Sergei Yesenin, died by suicide. It's just an almost impossible amount of grief for one person to carry. And yet, somehow, through all that pain, her influence didn't just survive, it actually grew. She became more than just a dancer. She became this enduring icon whose legacy pops up in some pretty surprising places. Okay, check this out. This might be the most bizarre part of her entire legacy. Her death was so specific, so unusual, that it actually coined a medical term: Isadora Duncan syndrome. That's the official name for any injury or death caused by neckwear, like a scarf or a tie, getting caught in a wheel or machinery. Her final, tragic moment is literally in medical textbooks. How wild is that? But of course, her real legacy is the art form she completely remade. She's still known as the mother of modern dance. Her style is still taught all over the world by dancers who can trace their lineage straight back to her Isadorables. And the world honors her. She's in the Dance Hall of Fame, her image is carved into a theater in Paris, and there's even an Isadora Duncan lane in her hometown of San Francisco. And her story goes way beyond the dance world. Her life was just so dramatic, so full of radical art, passion, and profound loss that it's become a permanent part of our culture. Her story gets told over and over again in movies, books, and songs, inspiring new artists even today. So when you look at the whole picture, you're left with this powerful contradiction. Here was a life lived with such radical freedom, but it was also shadowed by this immense, crushing loss. It really makes you wonder, what is the true price of being a pioneer?